Smells good. There we go. Hey, Sean, what's happening? Just clearing off some energies, that's all. I'll let it burn for a minute. I know my nose will get sensitive after a little while. All right, let's get into it, man. No, it didn't come yet. It didn't come yet. Sure didn't come yet. Dang. Keelan. Perfect. It went out anyway. No, it didn't come yet, brother, but thank you. Still want to thank you. That was so cool of you. Oh, it was ready to play. Keelan! Some information I wanted to pass on, and I didn't bring the book in here. I haven't played with these in a minute. They're kind of eager to play, it seems like. So play we will. Give that Argonaut energy, that blue Argonaut energy. Woo. Okay. This is one of my favorite things. I mean, it just gives and gives and gives and gives and gives. It never stops. If you study these, they never stop. It just simple oxygen going by them definitely gives them a, and it'll just keep giving. The energy you put in it, it will give you almost back triple the energy you put in it. I mean, this is such a positive thing. But I'm gonna have to let it go now because I guess I'll start off with man gripes. That's where I'm going to start off with. I'm going to start off with man gripes, with gripes that men have. Now, I call myself just buying a regular pair of drawers, regular pair of underwear, boxers. You know, I prefer boxers, but now I don't know if regrind means what my subject is. But if you look closely, there's no crotch. Now, I only paid, well, shit, I still paid $11. They were when they're probably a little more when they were at Macy's at one time, but there's no crotch. Then I tell my son this story, and my son is like, yeah, the Tommies don't have that either. Like, why make underwear where you don't have a place to pee? That makes no sense. I can't wear these as shorts. These is clearly underwear. So what is the point of having underwear where the crotch don't come out so you can pee? Hey, Liquid Fire, Lorenzo. Keep an eye on it. Yeah, brought Tacking Same, singing by myself, and they're awesome. In the mornings before I go to work and going out, clears the space. Oh, yeah, definitely clears space, no doubt. That's why I have my, what are they called? My tuna forks. My tuna forks do the same thing. But men, what is the point of these? No, I like them, I wear them, but it's just, it makes no sense. And like even reading on the back, I'm going on through it. Nowhere it says crotchless. Hey, Crazy Sarge. Nowhere it says there is no hole to crotch unless regrind. That doesn't mean, that means if something regrind means if it's not smooth, you got to go over it again. So I don't get why you would sell drawers with no crotch. Don't get that. Some more shit for you. Some more shit for you just to. Now, my great grandmother's maiden name was Russell. That's why I bought this. It says Russell. This is an older athletic stuff. Let me see. Let me see if I can make my point. Let me see if it says it in here. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because I'm a shopaholic, I found this out. Russell is made by the Nazis. Hugo Boss. Macy's still sells Hugo Boss clothes, Nazi clothes. Hugo Boss designed the SS uniforms. And Hugo Boss, this is their sports division, Russell. Because I found a shirt that said Russell. No. It said Hugo Boss. And the tag had Russell in it. But the shirt on it had Hugo Boss. But it was a Russell shirt. So see how they can get you? It's for the athletes. The pee hole's uncomfortable when training and performing. What? Training and performing. Okay, well, thank you. Hey, James. The fitness draws. That's what he just said. They fitness draws. Well, I don't get that because I've been working out since shit. I was 7, 8 years old. And I would say times that my legs would get chaffed. But that was in the thighs. That was never in the pee area. That wasn't because of the pee hole that my legs would get chaffed. Everybody's had that dryness in your thighs. But okay. Hey, what's happening, Conspiracy? I'm glad I took a screenshot of your number because I knew it would get buried in my emails. So I do got to give you a call. That is some shit there. That's some shit to hear. Okay, Eric. I don't see the point of that. I really don't. I don't see the point. The next thing I'm gonna move on to, Yasafel says something interesting. He says something very, very interesting, and I want to expand on what he said. A lot of this stuff was legal, but I'm thinking he watched a little bit of my stuff because he's starting to get a little spiritual. But anyway, he said that the system is run by demons. Specifically, you can put the names to it. Yadabath is definitely a name you got to look at in this system. As the Demerge, Samuel, it has many names. I mean, another name you could throw in there is Marduk. You could even put Marduk in there. So these are type of negative entities. And so if you look at a lot of the system, especially as you get into politics, especially as you get into entertainment, I think entertainment is one of the few things that shows you the evilness from so many different angles. I mean, when you look at a movie like Hellraiser, and it's surprising that they would even show that. It's surprising that they would even show that, because that they are burying their skin when they make movies like Hellraiser. They are showing you what they are. And this goes on to so many different levels. And then you throw in non-humans. Hey, PJ, what's happening? Hey, yeah, I thought I'd come on tonight. I can imagine being a male and wanting air to let my... That's funny. Easy. Yeah, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Well, I forgot to say, smoke them if you got them, drink them if you want. I drank 3 beers earlier. I'm really kind of beard out. So I'm just going to drink water. And so as you're approaching these things and these different entities, because they're, as I explained before, some buildings are live entities. So if an entity can come be this building for 100 years, imagine what a being like Yabatha, Samuel, Marduk, this being can be a lot of different things. And it has set the system up in its favor, no doubt. I was talking to my brother. We had a long conversation. But Dr. Valentine said something that was interesting. He was like, someone had asked him, would the gods want to come back? Or would positive entities want to come here? And he was like, this place just looked like a cesspool. This is not where you go to get spiritually released, spiritually motivated. And then we speak this English that is spiritually blocking. I mean, if you do real research and you start trying to find some of the spiritual stuff, English will take you to a dead end. You have to look up some other meanings, because it is really a limited. This is when they gave us this Hans Christian Andersen language. They wanted to make sure that the people in America, that they was forcing this new language on, because it's a new language. The English we speak is fairly new. I mean, if anything is close to 400 years, it's the English that we speak. And so I would even almost dare say, you know, if you look at Yadabath creating, being a creator in itself, and you can't even really let Sophia off, because Sophia hit him and put him in his own realm. And by putting him in his own realm, he was able to create, because he had the power of the ghouls, power of the gods. And so here's this being that could see Earth looking down and was like, shit, I can create shit. They can't even create shit. And the lifting of the veil, or even the fall, is the release of that being. when that being was released into whatever reality, whatever version this is. Where are we at? Thought about having some vodka. I'll chase crystal water instead. I mean, if I get parched, I'll go grab a beer. The fridge is right here. The Mac bone. Oh. Oh, thank you, the Mac bone. That is very kind of you to say. Thank you. You seen Archive 81 Dark on Netflix? I haven't watched that. Both series are good. Okay, I'll check them out. The English language is fed with spells. Oh, yeah, definitely. Hey, Dread, thank you for joining. Notorious Big said, I wore boxers all of my so I can breathe. I hotboxing my truck now. Rain now. All of a sudden, 45 degrees was 80. You know, my brother in Michigan got hit with like a foot of snow. He said it rained or snowed all day since 5 in the morning. He said school is canceled yesterday, and he said school is going to be canceled going into tomorrow or today. So they've been hit. Like, it's cold. Like right now, it is -4 with a wind chill factor of about 16, 17. I mean, it is cold outside. Was out today. My daughter wasn't feeling well, so we had to take her in to get some medicine for her. And we go in the emergency room, which we really just going to the special care kind of shit. But and they was like, you can only have one guest. And so I was able to run. Her mother went in with her, and I was able to run and get some running around done. But just going in and out of the stores, that shit. And it's like, we call it the Hawk. That's what Chicago's cold is called. But it's funny, you go in the store and just be chilling, and then you come out and it's like, still here. Because you kind of forget, you get warm. Walmart is big, and I try to get to walking in. And you go back outside, it's like, I mean, it's like, smacks you right in your face. I'm still out here, buddy. Going into my daughter's mom's house, they didn't answer the door. They was fucking around in the house. And I'm standing outside for about 5 minutes. So it's like, I was like, oh, I had to call them, like, y'all come open this damn door. It's cold. Edward Bailey changed my name to my channel to Mac the Book Files. I'll be dropping. Okay, bet. Hey, James. Well, thank you. It's just, it gets late. I do a show earlier in the day when I sit there. And so, try to do a few different things. But so I just bring, those names up and want you to understand that that's what we're facing. That's what this is all about. That's what we're facing. That's what it's all about. This is a part of my show I call Who They Fucking With in Prior Lake. This story, and I can tell this story without reading it, but this story is interesting because I know one of the persons. Well, no, I know the person's brother. The person's brother. And so what the headline says: 18-year-old from Prior Lake enters plea deal for drug-related murder of Burnsville teen. So I talked about this some months ago, but what had happened was a father and a son had got fronted a pound of weed. They had a customer. The customer was a 16-year-old boy. They had went and got the weed fronted. They was going to make, probably $400 off the deal. Well, the boy got in the car. So they meet at Target, which is technically in Savage, because it's like one side of the street's Prior Lake, across the street. So stores on this side is Prior Lake, stores on that side is Savage. I mean, it's just a little town. That's kind of how it is. So they're at Savage at Target. So the boy who's supposed to have the money and wants to buy the weed, when he gets in the car, he's not smooth in getting the door shut sound. He leaves the door open. And both the father and let me see, maybe he was in the front seat. Yeah, so the son was in the back. So they both noticed this. And so the boy tries to take the weed and rush out the car. and the father pops him in the head, like straight, just like the dude is feet from him. So the dude is trying to get out the car, the father shoots him in the head before really he like makes a foot out. The father pops him in the head, shoots him, straight up shoots him in the head. They push the boy out. They take off. The friends he were with go over to him. When the police get there, he's still talking. This dude been shot point blank in the head. He is still talking when the police come. So there he was able to tell the story. So it was a 44-year-old father. And at the time, this boy was 16 too. So it says he was entered his guilty plea for aiding and abetting second-degree murder. Under Minnesota felony law, prosecutors may bring first-degree murder charges against all accomplices to a felony-level crime that results in a murder, regardless if the accomplice had any knowledge or what took place. So this dude just plead for this second degree. He is still facing first-degree felony murder. He didn't really do the crime, but now the father died last year in jail. He died. He wasn't even in prison. Before his court case, the father died, which makes me think they killed him. Again, my son is friends with this dude's brother. This dude's brother is still around. I've seen him a few times. The second story is daughter charged with mother's murder in New Market. Now, this lady looks kind of native. I don't know if I can get a good shot of her. Doesn't say she is, but she kind of looks like a native. But I guess this isn't funny, but let's see. Okay. Here we go. Charges state this lady, Cassandra, admitted placing her mother in a chokehold with both arms and squeezing her neck like a python. Her mother doesn't tell how old her mother was. 60. Her mother's my age. So this chick was so mad at her mama that she placed her mama in a chokehold, in her own words, both arms. She's like this and squeezing like a python. So, of course, she is getting felony murder. So those are the people that they're fucking with in Prior Lake. Those are some people they're messing with. Who have I missed? Oh, yeah, it ain't playing. Vern. LaMelo scored 38. I saw that right before I turned to this. NBA Youngboy also 38. Mark with his clock and it's ticking. He'll be the next big dead rapper. Wow. Okay. Vern. That's a good prediction. Murder 38, killing 38. Good. You have Hulu. Watch the same 20.99. Tell me what you think. Okay, I don't need Hulu, but I'll get to watch it. Any thoughts about Brian Flores? These team losing? Yeah, I mean that's nothing new. That's nothing new. Like if you go back to the NBA before Stern took over, that was a problem Stern had. Stern had that problem where these teams was losing on purpose to get these draft picks. So that's why Stern put in the lottery, because teams were losing on purpose to get these picks. But we saw it allowed with Philadelphia. Trust the process. The process was about losing. And not only that, Jackson said when he was doing Cleveland, that Cleveland was giving him the incentives to lose. That ain't nothing new. I mean, there are teams that will never win the championship. The Lions, Cardinals, Houston, the Titans. I mean, these teams will never win. And so what that brother said, like one thing he said, Flores said too, is when he got interviewed, because now they force him to interview brothers. He said he said they just went through the motions. He said they did not interview him as a man, as a serious candidate. They just went through the motions. So, but Hugh Jackson's words might be a little more like they would kill over that. They would really kill over that. And that's what Hugh Jackson's saying. He's saying they wanted him to lose. Because sometimes you look at like players, sometimes the players, like, the team doctors decide who plays. They're team doctors. So if you really hurt, and that's why a lot of players get that second opinion, because you can't trust them. Any given Sunday kind of showed you that, where the team doctor say you be okay. And that might have been what Antonio Brown went through. The team doctor saying you okay. Your people saying you ain't. Kawhi Leonard went through that. He was like, nah, my leg is still hurt. I can't trust you guys. You guys work for the company. So that's, and I bring that point up is because a lot of times they won't play the people you need. Because, there are matchups that work for every team, where every athlete kind of matches up with the other team. So the fix and the scripting have to be put in different ways. Like we saw with the long snap, I think it was in the middle game where the dude used to play for Denver, Von Miller, gets the fumble, and then they fumble it right back. It wasn't scripted for Von Miller to get that fumble. It's probably scripted for him to get a sack. Instead, he got the fumble. So when you saw that snap, which made no sense, he just snaps it right. The quarterback ain't looking. That's why. Winning the chip. I was thinking the Bengals wouldn't get this one soon, but it looks like they're about to. Shit, they're talking about shutting the schools and businesses down around here for the day after the Super Bowl. That is good. Larry Johnson said that a situation in Tampa was staged. Well, of course. And when people talk about that Super Bowl, when they talk about all of a sudden they running Gruden's offense, they're using Gruden's signals. The plan was to run the ball. But what people forget about that Super Bowl, among anything, the all-pro center went crazy for that Super Bowl. The center disappeared. The center, they did something to that center to make him go crazy. He said they was chasing him and shit. But they did, like we can even go back to the Bengals' second Super Bowl when their running back, I can't think of his name, but their running back, their top running back, and I don't think it was Ickey Woods. It was Ickey Woods and this dude. This dude, they go in there, he was smoking crack for 7 or 8 hours. Now, dude, who would smoke crack for 7 and 8 hours? Stanley Wilson was his name, I think. Stanley Wilson. And even Sam Winch that just died mentioned that. He was like, well, we lost Stanley Wilson. Hey.
What?
Do me a favor and get my signs on my my signs book. It says signs and symbols book.
Yeah, I got you.
Come on, get it for me, please.
Yeah, I got you.
But Stanley Wilson, I think, was his name. He was smoking crack for like 6-7 hours before the Super Bowl, which made a big impact, hurting Cincinnati. And the biggest impact I want to say about that game is right before Wilson catches a touchdown. Wilson catches a touchdown, wins the game, basically. The play before, see, that makes noise, and you don't think about that. It's disrespect.
It's not loud.
Still,
you can't hear it.
It's extra noise. It comes up.
No, it doesn't.
But anyway,
I think they can hear it.
Anyway, before Wilson got that touchdown, but you had all day to do this, and then you wait till I come on and go live, and you purposely do this almost every time. It's like disrespect.
You go on live every time I want to.
No, I don't. I ain't went online in like 2 weeks, and then you got to come in here while I'm doing my show.
I eat at 12 every day.
Yeah, you could have ate earlier and got your food done before I came on. Yeah, but anyway, the play before Wilson catches a touchdown, Joe Montana throws the ball to that DB named Phillips, I think was his name. Throws it to Phillips. Phillips, they was playing zone. He threw it right to him. And dude caught it, and then he dropped it. So here was a way for Cincinnati to win. It was handed to them. The game was handed to Cincinnati. Get that book for me, please. It's on my second drawer. It's kind of a big book. Should be like maybe on the right side, please. And so here we go, where Cincinnati could have won the game, and a player drops the ball on purpose, clearly on purpose. there is a trust when it comes to the nationwide discretion of the Omen. Sacred ball game. Manipulation is no longer about cheating. It's about psychic vampirism. And that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Stafford Jennings, I met him. Icky James, when I was younger, at a concert as a kid. Another name you might know is two cats I knew. Barney Bussey. Did you know Barney Bussey? He was from South Carolina State. And then I was telling somebody the other day, it was another dude named Killebrew. Killebrew played with all them and played in that Super Bowl too. And Killebrew, this cat was like 6'5", 240. And I remember none of our dudes really wanted to tackle him, but it was funny seeing him in the NFL. He didn't look as big. But when we was in college, this cat looked huge as a running back.
Good look.
Yeah, that one. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Killebrew and Barney Bussey. Barney Bussey was cool. There have been people connected to the city of Cincinnati, the team that have died since the playoffs started. Yeah, animals too. That's what Zach was showing when what's his name? Rambo came on. Rambo was talking about the animals that have been sacrificed. Hey, thank you, J.R. Smooth. Very kind words. I just must smack my uncle else than he would. There you go. There was some big ass dudes. Yeah, I mean, the cats I played with, everybody. Like normally the cats that's most impressive looking be linebackers. Like if you look at most football teams, the dudes that be the like you look at linemen, they're big in girth. Defense, offensive linemen, you know, they're built differently. Like you have like defensive, offensive tackles, they kind of girthy dudes. But when you're talking about rush ends and you're talking about linebackers, you're talking about some of the best athletes really on your team. Like look at Lawrence Taylor. Look at his size. What was he? 6'4", 6'5"? But that versatile kind of thing. Who did I miss here? Oh, hey Samuel, what's happening? Hey Derek, thank you for joining. Defensive ends too. Yeah, rush ends and linebackers be some of the most athletic dudes that you see, and even sometimes safeties. You know, because safeties be a lot of run support. Regina King sacrificing her son. All this time I ever knew she was originally from Cincinnati. I didn't know that either. I'll say this, like Zach showed Howard Hessman dying, and I'm gonna say this because this is a repeat. How do I want to even say this? Howard Hessman had died before. I almost even want to say I'd watched the show with Zach, but I had watched the show years ago where Howard Hessman had already died. And here they go saying he died up to this point. Regina King's thing was kind of easy to see. But he's not counted for the Super Bowl. I'll say that. And Hessman technically not either. It's actually we go from that Monday to that Sunday night. Monday to Sunday night. That's kind of what how we count the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl deaths. I don't even know if it's a Mandela effect. I think it's more of a repeat because a lot of people want to name it that, but a lot of times it just be a repeat. You know, it just be a repeat of shit. And I ain't gonna say what is the Groundhog Day? Not even that. Not even the Groundhog Day. It just be like something stupid that you just happen to catch or see, and you was like, oh, okay, I remember seeing them on so and so. And then they repeat this shit again, and you're like, oh, and they tried to put a name for that shit, but that shit is different. Like I mean, it's a little different than what I feel that I experienced. So yeah, WKRP in Cincinnati. The brother was on it. Tim Reed. Seemed like Tim Reed was on that too. Since LeBron eventually going back to Cleveland, why not make Cincy a football town? It's NBA to NFL effect like Mandela. And you know, to stay in the sports thing, I'll say this. I remember the last team, you know, I said this the other afternoon, the last team, new team to win it that had never won it before has to be the Rams because the Ravens won it as the Colts. You know, the Baltimore Colts won what, Super Bowl 4 when O'Brien kicked the field goal to beat the Cowboys? Wasn't that Super Bowl 4? Yeah, because the Colts were just put in the AFC because remember the Colts lost to the Jets and they was in the NFL. So the last new team to win it without ever winning it before was the Rams, the St. Louis Rams. Now, I guess a way we could look at it was, okay, since the Rams was the last new team to win it, they'll let another team win it. Sports are stingy. Sports like repeats. Sports likes marketing. Who's better to market, LA in their new stadium or Cincinnati? I mean, if the Rams, look, this is kind of a way of looking at it. If the Rams win, the celebration will be longer because people will keep buying Rams stuff. Rams have better. Cincinnati has the most unique uniforms, but marketing-wise, them jerseys ain't marketable. Whereas the Rams have several colors. The hats look better. Marketing-wise, it would last a longer effect for the Rams to win compared to if Cincinnati wins. And so you gotta. And again, we gotta look at the point spreads and all that. Super Bowl 5, the Blunder Bowl. Yeah. Now another thing about Super Bowl 5 was also the only Super Bowl where the MVP came off the losing team, because Chuck Howley was the MVP and he played for the Cowboys. And it was a game, I think both teams had 5 or 6 turnovers. Like I said, they cheated. Where they fixed the game was back then, 2 offensive players couldn't tip drill the ball to each other. Now you can, but back then you couldn't. So that's why they had a play where the tight end hit it. The defender went up and missed it, and John Mackey caught a touch. Like John Mackey was behind everybody. But when they showed the replay, the tight end had hit the ball, making it illegal play. The same way with the immaculate reception with Franco Harris. Frenchie Fuqua hits the ball. Jack Tatum knocks the shit out of Frenchie Fuqua. And again, 2 offensive players couldn't catch the ball. But yeah, I watched that Super Bowl. I broke our little black and white TV with a baseball. I threw the baseball right at that fucker. I was like, no, because I liked the Cowboys back then. Very true. Marketing is very important. Yeah, so you got to consider that. What is I missed in 09? Or New Orleans in 09. Yeah, well, New Orleans, like this is how you tie New Orleans into New England. New England wins after 9/11. Now, granted, New England had been in a couple other Super Bowls too before then. But New England, but when Brady came, it was all about 9/11, the Patriot, all about patriotism. So that's why they won. Now, and we can say the same thing about New Orleans. And that was the last team. Thank you for mentioning New Orleans. Yeah, because New Orleans won since the Rams won. But that was about Katrina. That was all about Katrina. And you see the way they shamed them after that. They've shamed them twice with the Vikings. If you look at it, twice they shamed them with the Vikings. That Minnesota Miracle, that wasn't real at all. I mean, we had a DB hitting his man, so he couldn't make the tackle. And then they interviewing the cats, and that's one thing I hate about they took my channel. I had all that. I had all them interviews for that, and that was one of the worst things they ever did. As far as the script, that was non-believable. I purposely got the Rams fitted with that goat on it. It was a total of 5 fumbles. That's why the name. But it was some interceptions too, I think. But yeah, it was a terrible game. And they were playing on that old-fashioned bad turf. Not bad as Vet Stadium, but that old stuff. That old stuff that was like the stuff you'll put in your backyard. It was that kind of turf if you look it up. But Dwayne Thomas was on that team, and he fumbled. And Dwayne Thomas, see, they've done Kaepernick before in the NFL, was with Dwayne Thomas. You know how Lynch didn't want to talk? Dwayne Thomas really quit talking to all of them. After that, so they lose the Super Bowl in 70, they come back and beat Miami in 71. And then Miami wins in 72 and 73, and one of them was the undefeated team. But Dwayne Thomas, after they win it in 71, he quit. Like going into that next season, he didn't talk to anybody. I mean, he literally shut everybody out. And then he bounced on the league. And then, they interviewed him later when he had got traded and didn't play. So he almost sat out that season after being all pro the season before. And let me see, he wasn't the MVP of the Super Bowl they won, I don't think. I'd have to look it up. but Dwayne Thomas did, he did worse than Lynch. I mean, he literally didn't talk to any of these people all year. All year. When they got into the Super Bowl, same thing. So Stafford got rewarded for going on 16. Red Sox championship, Boston bombing, and Boston had went. Remember, Boston had lost 100 years. and the same with the Cubs. They really don't like giving teams, but Boston, the Boston bombing. I mean, when the cities have those kind of things, then they can see giving it the reward. We see the benefit that New England got, and we see New Orleans got that reward. I still say Detroit will never win. Detroit will never win. Not in my lifetime. Notice how all these bombshell news stories have hit since Black History Month. Brian Floyd, LeBron faking injuries, Harp weather. Yeah, they getting hit in the Midwest. They got a foot or more in some places. A foot or more in some places. So, yeah. And we didn't get any. My brother was like, how much snow y'all getting? I'm like, we ain't getting any. We got this cold weather. Because when it's like -3 and wind chill be like -15, 16, it's too cold to snow. It don't snow when it's this cold. Like rarely, that's the thing we hate when it warm up. When it get up to 30 something, it'll snow. But these minus stuff, no. But like we had 30, 40-mile winds, Monday. It was snow. That shit was windy and woo, you talking about the hawk waiting for you. It really slaps you in the face. It will really slap you in the face as soon as you walk out. I'll give a little teaching here. And this is Sign Symbols and Sign Symbols source book. Here we go. So, I deal with this energy all the time. I got a necklace, but it's just heavy as hell. This is a Virgin. So I'll show it as I go along. All right. Some Buddha statues are seen holding objects that look like double-headed scepters in one hand and a bell in the other. These objects are the Virja, the Ganta, respectively male and female. Virja is a Sanskrit word literally meaning diamond-like. So see, they try to say trident, but they're already telling you it's got the diamond-like energy. The hard and the mighty one, although the meaning goes deeper than this, carrying metaphysical science. It is known as the thunderbolt because it is the destroyer of ignorance. The Vajra is an important symbol and carries complex meanings within its shape. The central space inside the Vajra indicates the dot. And that would be this part, right in the middle. And that's where I used to have a piece of motivite for a couple years glued here. Or the bunda, that apparently most insignificant symbol is also possibly most important. The Hindu represents the sphere of actual reality. On either side, we have lotus flowers. And on the crystal one, you can't really tell. But if you look at this from this view, you can see the lotus flowers. And, before I ever saw this thing, I was getting these fractals. So you see the lotus flowers. The symmetry balance representing the material world and the spiritual world. The flowers each have eight petals. Yeah. And that is why this is in fours. Now there is one that has 8 petals like this, but this one only has this it has a 16. So this one doesn't. This one, if all this was together, this would have 8 on each side here. It would be the 8. Each side would be the 8. Yeah. So the lotus flower symbolizes the plight of the human being born into the mud or mire of the material world, but attaining spiritual realization, striving beyond the others. From the lotus flower, the spring flames are spokes generally in 5. The number might vary, but both sides are always symmetrical. The number 5 in the instant represents the 5 Buddhalas and their wives and their collective energies and qualities. It is also a symbol, the 5 wisdoms, which are the wisdom of individuality, mirror-like wisdom, reality wisdom, wisdom of equanimity, all-encompassing wisdom. Collectively, the 10 prongs are reminders of generosity, proper conduct, reunification, insight, diligence, tolerance, truthfulness, determination, kindness, and serenity. The prongs are also a reminder of the steps on the journey to enlightenment, one of the 10 directions: north, south, east, west, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, and finally above and below. These prongs either curve together to form a point representing the holy mountain of Mount Moreau. The closed ends of the Virgin makes a symbol of peace. However, sometimes the Virgin has open ends. This is a sign of the wrath of the deity who holds it. This is a type of wrath thought to destroy all illusions or negativity. The open-ended Varja sometimes has additional flames shooting out of its ends. Incidentally, the Tibetan name for Varja is the Dorja. So, yeah, I wanted to give that out. And, yeah. And I have really went deep with this. I heard that the trade between Golf and Stafford was because Golf was texting McVeigh's wife after hours. That's funny, which is hard to say. Ooh. You notice how all these news stories have hit since Black History Month? Yep, I did. I heard Golf was nailing her to the cross. That's funny. Yeah. All right. Oh, and I must say this: the Awakened one got a new, it's not a Ouija board, but it is a board kind of based. It's a round piece of cloth, and it has all the symbols that a Ouija board would have. So she's been working on it, and she wanted to do a reading with me to practice. And so I had some visions and stuff I was going through. And I talked to my brother about it, and I still was researching. That's why this book is out, because I was doing some research trying to find a little meaning. And so we start into the reading, and she's supposed to just use the Ouija board. And she was using bottle caps. And I'm like, you have flat crystals. I'm like, I know you got some flat crystals, and just use the crystals. And she was like, oh, I didn't think about it. So she set it up, put her generator on it, and she started reading me. And what's funny is, after she did it on the chart, she brought out her cards. And her cards, she went almost a half hour longer. And it was, I got to bring her back on, because it was really, she just put this mystery together, which was really interesting. How she put this mystery together. So I wanted to say that about her, that she really wanted to put a mystery together. All right. Let's see where I want to start at. Here we go. Yeah. So I want to start with free will, because you hear a lot of people expressing free will. I want to talk a little bit about that. So, the first cats, it was a cat named Repercris. And in 1970, he was pretty much created what they call determinism, which went away from the fates. Because before that, you even see some old shows, they talk about the fates of the gods, the fates, especially you watch some Roman shit, they're talking about the fates. Well, what to them free will was is based on this is you have atoms, and atoms can move on, you can't predict, they're unpredictable. And so because these atoms are unpredictable, this is where free will comes from. And we know from the double slit theory, because you can't get just stuck in the double slit theory, what you got to remember is the only time atoms move is when atoms is being watched. None of that shit moves unless one of these little big head professors is fucking with them. And this is what they base free will on. And so, as I said before, it was all about the fates. Christians, the gods have foreknowledge. It is very similar to what Homer called freedom. Because Homer got into individual men being free. And it was a way to idea of laws governing, material phenomena, physics or organized nature. Hercules claimed that changed laws and belief, change the rules of laws and belief. Yeah, our atoms rule by laws. My writing is terrible, so logos, atoms, only react when it's watched. Yeah, my writing. But yeah, this Hipparchus guy looked at atoms as free will. That's where the idea of free will. And then you have David Hume, who says a miracle is a disturbance. A miracle is a disturbance of interruption, the expected and established course of things. That is what a miracle is. Free will also involves decisions, laws of nature's changing under the illusion or delusion. So now most people, when they speak free will, they go into Albert Pike. They go into the Mason book that Albert Pike wrote. That's what most people that you hear nowadays talk about free will. They talking about what the Mason, Albert Pike, put in together. And that free will is satanic. It's an evilness to it. And so it's a trap too. It's a trap. If you really look at it, it's a trap. And a lot of people agree to live under that trap. They think because you can make decisions, that's free will. Now, this goes back to talking about the Yabatha and the Demerge. It's the same kind of thing that they like. They like where humans put their own traps out there. They put these ideas out there to make you think that the fates have nothing to do with nothing, and it's just you out there. You're like an atom. Your energy is like an atom, and that it is your decision that fucked you up. When we know that a lot of times it's like all these other little things that's around. And some people get signs. Like when fucked up shit happen to people get signs. It'll start showing you little shit like shit's fucked up. You better pay attention because this shit is fucked up. It's fucked up all around you. You got to pay attention. And it took me a long time. I'm seeing all this fucked up shit happening. I'm like, huh? And I'm not paying attention. Tell you one similar thing. We had a busted weed de-weeder. Little thing you put the seeds in and the de-weeder seeds and you push it around. Well, we had one broke and it burned the grass because it just went all out of the thing. And we're literally, it's fertilizer in here. This shit's a lot of acid and it just burned a hole in the grass. So that showed me my ex and I wasn't getting together. Well, we got back together, bought another house, same thing happened. There was two of them. I didn't know which one worked and which one didn't work because I think I had one. It was like she had one, the broke one. I had one that wasn't broke. end up using the one that was broken, did the same thing at this house. So it was another sign again that shit wasn't gonna work out. Another sign that this shit just wasn't gonna work out. So my point is of bringing this up is the idea of free will is a lock. It's a joke. It's an illusion. It's a guise to think you got some control. There's a delusionary aspect of all this. That's why I am the only one that really talks about the mind. Now, if you looked at, and I'll say this, Bomber put a little bit in there about technology, like these technologies ain't new, which really is talking a little bit about the mind. I don't think he wanted to use the shit I be using because he's only used the mind one time. And so if you look at the Demerge, Yaba, you look at him and then you look at it finding the mind. However, the mind came to this earth, this civilization builder. And then there's this machine that says, hey, I can give them this. And then later they will love this more than they love anything. And I'm talking about the phones and the machines. And so here's this creator that ain't even got to do nothing. He's like, you can create this and I can just sit back and I can come in and out if I want to come in and out. And I ain't got to huff and puff and blow the house down when they piss me off. No. Dim people going to remove. I don't know. I don't even like, like talk about shit like that. Like, why do you care? I mean, Whoopi been ain't, since she was a comedian in the 80s, she been ain't for us. She's been like a liberal like person. So she's Hollywood to death. I mean, her man wore black faced out and she thought it was funny. Remember, she was with Ted Dancing and they went to the roast and he wore the black faced and they was together. And she thought it was funny. Remember, a European dude took Whoopi for about 20 million. I mean, she's always been an ugly chick. So this young European married her, got divorced, and like Tom Arnold did with whatever her name was, Roseanne. Whoopi got done by this young dude. Whoopi had to get this young dude about, California is 50-50 state. And look that up. Whoopi gave that cat $15 to $20 million. And they wasn't together that long. Because she found, what do they call him? A trophy wife. He was the trophy boy for her. So, fuck her. That's a distraction. That's a clear distraction. And that's my whole point. They want you distracted. They don't want you meditating. They don't want you getting into yourself. They want you to care about that shit. It's like these games. They want people to care about it. Not understanding that the Super Bowl is the most evil ritual we have of the year. It is definitely the most bloodlust. I mean, there's a bloodlust this time of year that we just don't see. And it's killing their own. We see a bloodlust killing their own. And that's what they do. You got any of that type of fame, these championships is when they starting to knock these people off. Hey, Jody. Did the egghead going on vacation? NBA is getting lower. Could be. She burned sold out. I never seen her with a brother in a movie other than Danny Glover. That's right. Yeah, she been sold out. So why care about that? She got what she deserved. And the thing about what's interesting is we celebrate this ritual. Super Bowl parties, having people coming over, getting new TVs. We help them with this ritual, with this bloodlust. We help them. This blood libel that they do every year. And remember the colors. That's, I got to break down the colors. The colors is the God that feeds. You break down what colors is in the Super Bowl, that is what God is feeding. So it's easy. They show you. They don't hide that. They do not hide that. So when you see the colors of the Super Bowl, and I don't mean the team colors, I mean the Super Bowl themed colors, that is the God that is feeding, because they rotate. This is by far, I mean, like you look at NASCAR, their Super Bowl is the Daytona 500. Yeah, they had the rest of the season, but their biggest race is the Daytona 500, which is the beginning of their season. But again, you got the Super Bowl, you got the Grammys, you got the Daytona 500. I mean, this is a lot of blood. And then they're pulling from these old ones. They're pulling. It's your time. I mean, there's like what is the odds of all, what is it, 4 people that have killed themselves in the last 3-4 weeks? They want you to believe that wasn't nobody chasing them, wasn't no external factor there. I mean, they've been able to kill people and make it look like an OD, make it look like a suicide. They've been able to do that. You listen to the Iceman. The Iceman was telling you he would poke dudes with needles and it looked like they have a heart attack when they did the autopsy. That ain't nothing new. They've been doing that. Super Bowl 56 advertising is blood dripping down it. Yeah. These halftime performances might as well some more portholes, let something in. Yeah, I would say so. It's funny, the best Super Bowl, like a lot of people say Whitney, when Whitney wasn't even singing, it was recording of Whitney. But how did they do that shit? When Diana Ross did she get back on the helicopter and it took back off? I don't remember, but hers was kind of unique. But that could be a good point because it's all about vibration. I mean, Prince played in the rain. Remember that? Prince played in the rain. It was Bootmaker and Moonshine that created NASCAR. Absolutely. It absolutely was. They're getting real bold, putting shit right in our faces. That weekend halftime felt sick. Perhaps they've been putting in sight. Now I know what it's all bananas. It is. And it could be. It could be like think of it like this. They put the vibration of that God or that entity that's feeding, they put the vibration up that it moves on. And maybe to make it eat, it might need this extra energy of the music. So you can't put it past. Who was one of the performers of one of the games this weekend? They showed the dude, but they didn't show his performance. Remember that? It was one guy that performed. They didn't show his performance. They said his name, but they didn't show his performance, which I thought was interesting. They're doing what the Iceman said he did when they killed these sacrifices. Yeah, I believe they're doing that. Using all that energy. Yeah, of course. All their tricks. All this is old ritual. This ain't nothing new. This is very old ritual. What did Rambo say? This type of year was always sacrifices. And that, like, Rambo was even breaking down how, Christianity was all about sacrifice. I mean, Abraham's supposed to kill his son, and they were always talking about killing these animals in the same way as our sisters. The same way as our sisters talk about, sacrificing the animals to open up portholes, to open up things. So, that is something that they've carried on. They keep it in the shadows, but for those who pay attention to it, you see what they're doing, and you just look back. And that's why the Super Bowl is just as you, for me watching, I've watched every Super Bowl. I was the first one, 67. I was 5, 6 in the first one, and we watched it. Green Bay against the Raiders, because we were watching the AFL, and I love sports from a very young age. And then even Super Bowl 2, 3, all of them I've watched. I haven't missed the Super Bowl. The one I missed was when the Cowboys maybe won their first or second one. I broke my hand and I had to go to the hospital. I'll try to watch as much as, and I've said this story before, I tried to watch as much as the game as possible, and I'm trying to eat. My hand is doing this. The nerves from me breaking it. My shit's doing that. And my wife's like, let's go. My ex-wife, she's like, yeah, you got to go to the hospital. So I missed half of that. Yeah. And so understand that. Like when you're giving the parties, like put some good juju there too, because what you're watching is truly demonic. You know, it's the most demonic ritual of the year. And so you know, burn some incense, do something positive, because what you are watching is going to be a demonic. It's a show. It shows the demonic. Remember with Katy Perry, they had her in all the fire, red. They had her on the stilts. I mean, this is like in your face shit. Like, this is who we are, all in your face. And I was looking at that shit with Katy Perry, and I was like, wow, look at this shit. And, you know, the fans go crazy because, again, the Super Bowl is one sport that is a corporate sport. It is not where you can get tickets, but it is not where tickets are openly sold. It is a corporate event. And it's one of the few corporate events we have. And yes, you can go online and buy tickets, but the majority of tickets go to all the players. All the players get one, maybe two. But the rest is, you know, the families, you know, of course, the families, but it is a corporate event. So the live people are mostly connected. The people that are at the Super Bowl, I dated a girl that saw the Cardinals, Pittsburgh. She was there up in the suite. Yeah, she went to one. So our dark poor is creating a dark space for beings to hypnotize the human race. Yeah, I would say that's a good way to put it, because people are hypnotized by it. See, what they want is what, like I was saying, why I think the Rams are better marketing than the Bengals is they want to keep it alive. That's why when they have these plays, and this goes back to the Tuck rule, you know, when they have these controversial plays, it keeps it alive. So even though the game is over, if you have these controversial plays, you see how it stays alive. And that's what they like. That's why they put that bullshit in games, because they wanted to have a life after the game. They want you to still want to see it on Sports Center over and over again. You still want to see the talking heads talk about it. And this is a 2-week buildup. And what we're seeing is it's a 2-week murder spree. That's what we see. We see a 2-week murder spree where the old athletes disconnected get it. And it's not just athletes. The Super Bowl is so big because of it crosses so many lines of commercialism. You know, they off movie people. They off singers. I mean, entertainers is like, I bet entertainers hate this time of year because they don't know when it could be them that it's calling. Did they make Brady retire early? No, yeah. They definitely pushed Brady out. They pushed Brady out. That was why they lost. That was why he couldn't move around. He was getting his ass sacked. That's the part which is interesting. Like when you watch Kawhi Leonard stop Guinness, if you go back to the Mike Tyson Buster Douglas fight, I think it's in the 3rd round. Mike see he got a fight. It's a period. If you watch closely, Mike see he has to fight. So there are points where you got to play. And I made a video on Luka, where Kawhi stopped Luka. Because there becomes a times where they let him play, where they really play. And I pointed out that was that time, and Luka couldn't get by Kawhi. So there are times when they let the teams play. They let cats play, see who can really play. And so, hey, D, thank you for joining me. So, okay, look at the Brady thing. Brady loses. What is it? The next Saturday. The next Saturday, you got the top ESPN people showing he's retired. And then he comes and makes a statement and says, wait a minute. So he was pushed out. I mean, it wasn't believable. It wasn't believable to think this 44-year-old man could really still do it. The same thing happened to Roethlisberger. It wasn't believable. You saw his skills erode 2 years ago because they allowed him to get hit. Brady, they really didn't allow to get hit to that last game he played. They protected Brady most of the time. And I'll say this over and over again. If you think the NFL ain't scripted, go back to the Tuck rule. That was where they on live cheated. Because number one is they didn't like Al Davis. Al Davis was still alive. And they cheated right on. And the NFL commissioner now, who was a lawyer then, came up with it. He's the one that came up with it. He was in Goodell was in the commission. He worked with Talibu, and Goodell is the one that came up with that rule. And even the next day, them trying to describe it, it was like they had a referee on, and the referee basically said it was a fumble. He described the rule, and he said, well, basically, and it was never used before, never used since after. So that was a straight up cheat. That was a cheat. So you see that it's all like that. It's all, you looking at that, like it's a hockey game where it's a hockey game from the 90s where this dude catches the puck in front of everybody and he throws it in the net and then throws his hands up. Now, all the players seem to do this, but supposedly the refs didn't seem to do it. And I was surprised, and I did not catch it on I wasn't able to tape it. I wasn't paying, I was paying attention, but I was like, why don't I tape this? But this guy catches the puck and throws it in the net and raises his hands. Now, you got 3 hockey refs out there, and you telling me none of the 3 saw this? And it was a championship. It was a Stanley Cup that did this. So, and the problem with sports is, let me see. I don't want to. How do I want to put this? Because I'm gonna put her information out. But like when you designing clothes, she made a warm-up outfit, but she used the New York Knicks colors. Now, if you're a designer, you got to know the pro team colors because that's part of marketing. Now, I doubt she does, but she made outfits out of New York Knicks colors. New York Knicks ain't doing that well. Now, I don't know how her stuff is selling, but it's like when you put in these combinations, you got to keep in mind. It's like now would be a perfect time to do Ram stuff or do Bengals stuff. Bengals is a little more complex pattern, but this is the kind of stuff you would put out or just neutral colors. But when you mix colors like that, that's something you should see. So when I saw her stuff, I kind of was like, oh, you did the Knicks, and this is just bad timing for the Knicks. And some people don't really, and the people probably around her, maybe they ain't sports people either. It's hard to say. But it's just, it's amazing how people, they don't keep that in mind when they put stuff together. Oh shit. Oh, y'all been watching? Did y'all watch I got cheated out of being in the Winter Olympics. I was the person that did the little broom real fast. The lunge. Like they boycott pimps from doing the lunge because the lunge is one, like when you do the rock, the luge, or when you do the rock, that's some pimpy stuff where you just floating on ice and just one knee and you throw in the stone and you just float on ice. What is cooler than that? You don't have on hockey, you don't have on ice skates, you just have on shoes and like Adidas, and you just like float on the ice, and then you got the dudes who be sweeping. See, we was in the finals here, and me and the dude is sweeping, and the dude kept hitting me with his broom. We sweeping and shit, and he's hitting me with the broom. And so I had to blast him. I know it was the finals, but it's like he wouldn't keep hitting me. You supposed to be sweeping and shit in front of the little stone, not hitting me. So I was disqualified. They had the nationals not far, so I gave them all the finger. And so I'm not in China right now because of that. But, it's like, just sweet, you just like one knee and let it go. How do you think the scripted Super Bowl is going to go this year? And who do you think is going to be the MVP? Now, normally they like the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks is normally the MVPs of most games. Burrow, if you looked at it going into it, you would say Burrow has a lot of the juice compared to Stafford. There's more juice behind Burrow because he just won the college championship a couple years ago. So if you look at that aspect of it, you would say Burrow. But again, if you look at the aspect of them never winning it, very doubtful. Stafford again. What is number 10's name? That cat. Jerry Rice won it. Didn't help him any. And so when receivers win it, it doesn't financially really help them. So it only financially really helps quarterbacks. So could that receiver very easily? I don't think Cincinnati really has people to stop them. We'll see. But right now, I'd say the juice is more in Burrow than Stafford because Burrow has showed he was a winner. But I still am holding to they ain't won it. And the NFL tends to not like to give it to new teams. They just tend to not. But we have a situation where a team, the Rams, they're a newer team that won it. Could that be the transition? Which it could be. So it's hard to say. The Raider DB said they changed the defensive play in the huddle. Belichick called the offensive play in front of him. Wow. He said on ESPN. Darnold. Oh, okay. Darnold could be. They tend not to, like I said, Chuck Holley, he was on the losing team, but again, he had what? He got, what did Holley get? Two interceptions and 2 fumbles, something like that. And then he had like check this out. Chuck Howley, you guys could look it up, but it was something like he had an interception or 2. He had a fumble or 2, and he had something like 14, 15 tackles. Now you telling me that's a hell of a game. So it was hard not to give it to him. I know on the tackles part, I don't remember the turnovers, but I know he had one of each. He had an interception at least, and he had a fumble at least. But then he had like 14 tackles. And it's like, I used to get all those books as a child. But yeah, so Chuck Holley. So Darnold, he didn't really have much of till the end of the game, he had a good play, but they neutralized him most of the game in the NFC Championship. So we'll see. I still like their defense. I think their defense is a little better defense. I like their scheme a little better, but we see Ramsey can get beat man for man. So, but you notice like one thing to notice about the Cincinnati game, and I want to bring this up is like number 1 for Cincinnati, and I'm sorry, Jamar maybe is his name. You notice like right before halftime, they kept showing that he was shut out. They were showing his stats for the first game, but they were showing how he was shut out, the first half. And then halftime ends and the camera's on him again. So when they do that kind of thing, it's coming. It's coming. And sure enough, he gets a touchdown. And then one play that was the stupidest play of it all, number 11 comes in there and ain't even played a play before. He's a special team person. And you telling me nobody looked at that scheme, and when he went in motion, the odds that the ball probably was going to go to him. I mean, I saw that. I was looking at it. I'm like, they're going to throw it to him. And sure enough, they threw it to him. I was just looking at the set they was in. And when he went in motion, I was like, they didn't even try to give him a pick. Not really. They just opened him up in the flat, and nobody went with him. So just sloppy play caller. They always say he is the best player in the league. That's why I thought of him. Yeah, he made All-Pro again. I mean, this is shit for Darnold, because you do get a ring. You get a ring when you play in the All-Star game, and you get the rest of your life that you was All-Star. But it's a difference between an All-Star and an All-Pro. It's only now they put the kickers and the punters, but like defense is 11, and then it's 11 people on offense. It's only 22 people that become All-Pro. Now again, special teams, the kickers. So you got 22, probably 27, 28. All-Pro is different than being in just the All-Star game. It's different. It's not this. It's a higher award. And Donald's been like All-Pro, 5, 6 years in a row? So he's the bad guy. So, yeah, I mean, he got it again this year. So I want to touch a little bit on what Sly and them was saying earlier. And why athletes why athletes have a hard time adjusting. And I'll give you a prime example with one of my experiences. And so I go from playing college football that summer. I start trying to think when we played in Carolina, though, because I was working, but yeah, maybe it was that summer, or was it the summer after? Maybe the summer of '82. So that summer, I go to all these camps, going to all around these camps, spending my own money going to these camps. And you see where you better than people. And yet you get told that you can't do it. Now, mentally, it is almost like being torn in two. Like, and I'm kind of changing stories a little bit, but just to stay on this point, it almost feels like you are a phone book and they tear you in two. It's like your whole life has been based on trying this thing. And you're there. You are there. And if you have good camps, there's camps where I ain't dropped the ball at all. Ran the routes every time, never dropped the ball. And still got cut. Faster than dudes. Better shape. But it's all about tickets. I mean, you know, you got a draft choice that come from a big college. But it's like, and then when you make them last cuts, that's even heart-wrenching more. Because you're like, shit, you know, these preseason games done come up, you get a per diem, and it's like, shit. You looking in and it's like, ugh, I might be there. And it's even harder when you get them last games. And mentally, that tears you down. And to go back in my original story. So here I am coming from these camps. 6 months ago, I was playing in decent stadiums. I'm playing on TV. Here I am working for the water department. And I'm up to shitting my knees in a damn sewer pipe. Repairing a sewer pipe. I'm in a goddamn hole in the middle of the street. I'm wearing shit gloves, you know, gloves up to here. Got a suit on up to here, boots, you know, up to my thighs. And we are literally cutting out an old sewer pipe. So shit is running all around my ankles. Now, if you don't think that fucks you in the mind, you're thinking, damn, look where I'm at. I'm literally in shit. And if you don't think that fucks with your psyche. Now, I played with a semi-pro team, and Jerry Richardson and them own that team. The later people that own the Panthers, they own that team because we had Squires was our coach, Don Maynard, like all these old Jets was the coach, and you know, Richardson that owned the Panthers at first, we were called the Carolina Storm. We ended up winning the championship. Supernat went to North Carolina Central, and that's where I call my daughter Supernat, is from him. But we won the Eastern Championship semi-pro. But I was like working, and after work driving down to Charlotte. So I was living in Greensboro, and me and Funk would drive down there every day. No insurance for, you know, injuries, nobody to tape you. You had to tape yourself. You had to buy your equipment. You had to buy your jerseys. You had to buy your pants. And you had to, you know, we had to pay for the refs. Now, we did get gate. We got gate. We split the gate. And it was like, I think the best game was $500. You know, where when you sign with these teams, you get a bonus. That's where football money is up front. You know, you go into a team, you get a check. Like, even if they cut you, you got that check. It ain't like you try, you know, if you get asked to come into camp, you getting the bonus. Last KC play, when they was 2nd and 10, Mahomes must have told him, run around in the circle and let them tackle you. He could have ran the end zone. I think I break that one down good, and thank you for everybody for making that the best video on this channel by far. And I thank everybody that watched that. Like people was trying to say Kelsey wasn't open. If he threw it when Kelsey turned, there was no way they could have stopped him. Just like number 10, Hunt caught a touchdown in the first half, running in the back of the end zone. That was open. Number 13 is jumping up and down. He's so open. And so, yeah, that was a play where it made no sense for him. But as I said before, go back if you see the highlights of the game. Watch Mahomes start scrambling before he takes reads. Some of them early second half plays, he would scramble instead of taking his read. You could see him look where he could scramble and not taking his reads. So you see right there, again, he's getting 40-some million a game. The illusion is all around us, bigger than what we think it is. But yeah, so yeah, he if you watched him, and I was looking, I'm like, this dude ain't even doing his reads. He just running around. Like it made no sense for him. He had all the blocking in the world on that play. He didn't get touched. It was like they were blocked so long that of course everybody's gonna get tired. And so, the lineman finally got through. But it was like, what, 15, 16 seconds? But you're right, Sean. It's funny. It's like so much of what we face is an illusion. It is created by the mind. But because we are organic, and I know Zach and them are kind of going through a thing about when are the numbers organic and when they aren't. But there is, how do I want to say this to get it right? There is a part of, I would even dare say, a part of the fates, which is not God-driven, but it's like a part of sometimes we can break the illusion. Like going to the Tsar world or going to the Astros or the Ethers. I mean, they control some of that, so don't think they don't. But you can get beyond what they control. Because, again, if you can think about it, and it's talked about, they got their hand in it. However, you can break out of that because it's so much more expanded when you go into that where they can't cover all that. That's why it's so important for you to meditate. It's like my brother and I were talking about death, and when death comes, if you know death comes, and this is a thing for even pain, if you would just accept it and you say, I take no attachment with me, sometimes them pains go away. Because if it sees you are not scared of death, because that's the greatest fear it gives you. That's where all this hell and all this comes from, is that fear. They want you to be fearful. But at the moment you die, they want you to be attached. They want you to say, I want more time. I want to see my children grow up. I want to see my parents get older. I mean, all this plays a part in that. And so it's easy, when they try to push a person into the light, the person will go into the light, want to do it again. Want to repeat. Can you imagine? Now you got to repeat in this, the way things are now. Can you imagine being born in these times? Like they say, there's some children that started school, they never went to school without masks. From the time they're in kindergarten to the time now they're in second grade, they know nothing but that it's normal. It would be almost alien to not wear masks for children that started when this thing started and they made children in school. They know nothing but wearing masks at school. They don't know a time where you didn't wear masks at school. So do you see the conditioning? Do you know about this old football player, Warren McVay? Do you know anything about him? Not offhand. McVay's, though, or are you talking about the daddy? Are you talking about the daddy McVay? And did the daddy McVay play? I didn't think any of them McVays played. Did the daddy play? Because you talking about the dude, the big buff dude they showed and how good a shape the Daddy McVeigh was in. Did that McVeigh play? I didn't think any of the McVeighs played. If you're talking about the Daddy McVeigh, there are 3 or 4 generations in the NFL. Because his father, if we're talking about the same McVeigh family, his father was in the NFL as well. The Grodens is the same way. The Grodens, Daddy Groden, and not McVeigh, but not even Schottenheimer. Yeah, the McVeighs and the Grudens kind of came into. At one time, one of the McVeighs was a coach, and the Gruden was a scout or assistant coach. So their positions always change. But you're talking about when you're talking about Gruden and McVeighs, they 3-4 generations in the NFL. They said he played. Yeah, I don't really remember if he played or not. He was an old running back drafted by the Bengals and not related to the. Okay. They said he played. Okay. Okay. No, I don't remember him. Hey, Gamey. No, then I don't know about that Warren McVeigh. No, I don't know about him. I don't remember him. Washington Commanders. Yeah, that's right in your face. Right. Took it away from, our people. They took it away from our people. Why wasn't something like this? Why didn't they put something like this on their helmets? You take a melanated man because all these European looking natives mad because it don't look like them. See, that's why the natives was mad, because it didn't look like them. The dude they drew a picture from, that they took the picture from to put on the helmets, don't look like these natives that live by me. And I know motherfuckers say, no, motherfucker, they darker than you and shit. Yeah, I got this though. He played DB in college in Indiana. I didn't know he was from here in Dayton. Oh, okay. Broke the color barrier in college football and wore 42, of course. Oh, okay. So he played down, you saying Cincinnati, though. Okay. Warren McVeigh, drafted by the Bengals, and was also Billy Cannon's teammate on the Chiefs. This year's Super Bowl is Billy Cannon ritual. Yeah, I saw how Zach was saying that, but he said the same thing when Burrows wanted to LSU. It's interesting because Billy Cannon, there was a movie. I don't know if people realize there was a movie about Billy Cannon. What's his name? What else did that cat play in? But that cat played Billy Cannon. He wasn't called Billy Cannon, but it was a movie about him, because he was kind of as you see, by the time he played when he played with the Raiders, he was playing tight end. But they thought he was going to be the shit going into the AFL, because he went right into the AFL. He probably got paid more. But he played with I think his second year in the league, they won the AFL title with George Blanda. Yeah, I think he did. 61 or 62. George Blanda was the quarterback and Billy Cannon was his back. So I think they won the AFL. But like another player you can look up, Ohio boy, is Paul Winfield. Paul Winfield wore 42. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on all the cats who wore 42. It's a long list. And it should be abolished. 42 should be abolished in all sports. How funny is it knowing that Burrows is facing McVay in the Super Bowl? Billy Cannon played with him, McVay. Yeah, that is not a coincidence. That is how they put. Oh, and I do want to. Okay, and this goes back to how the inorganic fights the organic. So, God, what is his name? He's another gematria dude. I can't think of his name, but he was wondering like how they can put in position 80 years ago, how they can put things from 80 years ago. Like he was going over Kobe, like with the Spalding basketball, the high school Kobe went to. But what you have to understand, if you look at entities and the power an entity has, and then this is going back into the fates and a little bit of what the Goulds would do, is take a film, and you can look at all these different parts of the film. Well, think of that as God power. Think of that as entity power. So as an entity, you could say, okay, this is going to develop, then this is going to develop, then this is going to develop. into an entity, what is time? So they look at, okay, if I put this here, I put this there, I put this there, then this can come out. Now, it may not come out exactly as it planned, but close enough. So and even me being a time walker or even a time lord, again, time, what is time? So it's not hard, like writing a book. An entity can write a book too. A ghoul, a god can write a book. So this god writes a book. Then he puts a few things in motion. And 80 years later, to us, it's like, well, damn, how did they do that? And it may not come out exactly like it, but it is close enough to what they wrote. So that's what people, you got to realize. This is like, and fucking with the mind, you got a machine that can spit out all these different kind of things. You do this, this comes. Do this comes. You do this comes. So for a machine, it's even easier. So you've got an old entity and you've got this technology working together. So it's not hard for them to plan 100 years in advance. And they know it ain't going to go exactly like they planned it, but they most of it is. Like war is the easiest thing they put together. And like I did the video, go back to my video on World War I and the losses. I mean, hell, you can go to our own war. You look at the losses of the Civil War. The bloodlust. I mean, Vietnam was like not believable. Like I lived where these boys was graduating. Because my father coached high school football. These boys would graduate and get the letters the next week. I've said this before. The draft was on TV. Them balls come in the year you born, and them balls come like the lottery balls. That's how it was. It was like lottery balls. And they was filling in dates and years born with these lottery-like balls, like they do the lottery. You know them, the little ping pong looking balls of the lottery? This is how they was determining people who's going to the draft. They had a person that mixed all these balls with the dates up. And then they putting it in these sockets that determined these young men that most of them was probably going to get killed. And this shit was on TV, the draft. So you could see if your shit was being called. And unless you went to college, you got a 4-year deferral. That's what Trump did, unless you get a doctor's letter. Trump said he had bone spurs. He never did athletic, but said he had bone spurs. I am Chris. I remember you had an old channel, 8Win. Did that get it censored too? Oh yeah, they and this is really why even now, like I know I'm losing money not signing to that AdSense shit, but it's like my other channel of shit, 3,000-4,000 videos, up since 17, no strikes, and you just erase my channel with no strikes, no warnings. Like this is the kind of bullshit they would put in here. Well, you know what? This video didn't do very good. Maybe you want to go back to this type of stuff. Maybe that, and this is the kind of little shit they would put me through. That they would put up there. Well, maybe if you talk a little more about sports. They didn't like when I would philosophize. It was like, it's like how they do it though. They fuck with little channels and big channels say the same shit. Burrow beats Cleveland, the Cleveland Rams. The last team, the Cleveland Rams, drafted Cannon. Yeah, he didn't play for them, though. Burrow beats the Cleveland Rams. That could be. Not LA. Yeah. Okay, that could be a connection. That could be, where to put the money. It's going to be interesting because that last game, the over and under was 54, and it was the under. It came to the under. I believe that was the Chiefs game. One of the games came under. So that's the kind of betting. And the other part is the other part of it is the in-game betting too. You know, is what is his name, Cup or whatever, that receiver number 10? How many catches is he gonna make for how many yards? They got all the kind of bets. That's the way to kind of eat this system. Like you can bet and it don't even matter who wins. You know, you can make these bets and it don't even matter who wins. You can just bet and these in-game betting, and that's, you know, that's really how to beat this thing. Is you profit and it don't matter who wins or loses. Yeah. For the script is convincing for both LA and Cincy. I would say another part looking at it is the Rams playing at home. They let Tom Brady win at home last year. So, and I just look at the marketing, and I still think it's greater marketing with the Rams. Now, like take the Saints. When the Saints won, that was pretty much it. You know, that was it. Saints won. Nobody talked about it. Yeah, Hank fumbled on purpose, but nobody really talked about it. It's like football didn't live when the Saints won. You know, football was like, okay, the Saints won. The interest just ain't there. And so instead of being a week of glory after the Super Bowl, because remember, the Pro Bowl used to be after, it was like it pretty much died with the Saints winning because people didn't care. Even though I think the Saints, their colors, they got some of the best uniforms. Their scheme, their color schemes are the best, I think, by far. That gold, that old gold, I think is really colorful. I'm surprised more and more jerseys like that because their jerseys are really nice. Cincinnati is harder. It's harder to keep them alive. Now, the NFL takes L's sometimes, says, you know, we'll let them win, and okay, we only going to get a couple days because people really don't connect to Cincinnati like that. And sometimes they do take L's and do that. Oh, shall. My son said this is Mr. Rogers. He called this the Mr. Rogers sweater. Cardigans, I think that's what you call it. Back-to-back home Super Bowls at the time of COVID. Stay at home. Come on, man. It's too obvious already. Kind of. Yeah, a lot of money is going to be on the Rams for sure. And so that's a thing to look at as you go too, is the betting side of it. But I look at just the business of it, and it's just, I don't think there's any business. Again, if they want to make the Super Bowl live a week, at least a week longer, with Cincinnati, it's going to be like I mentioned with the Saints. It's going to die. It's going to die a couple days. It won't live. Now, again, if they do some bullshit like the Tuck rule, of course, that'll give it a little more play. But if it's just a normal game, even if Burrows has a longer game, like here's an example. Look at the national championship in football. You know, college football didn't live very long. I mean, even though it was a good game, a new team won, even with Burrows. I mean, it didn't, you know, the life of it didn't live very long. And so that's how Cincinnati would be. The marketing would not keep it going. So New Orleans colors are dope. Yeah, I think they have the best color schemes. But like, it's funny. Now, this is something that college and pro picked up from high school. High schools were the first ones to wear solid uniforms. Like football, most of the time there's different color schemes. Like old football, you can look, there's different color schemes for the jerseys and the pants. Well, what you saw high schools is the high schools will wear the all black. The high schools will wear the all blue. You didn't see colleges. And so, like, I noticed Benton Harbor High School was one of the first high schools I noticed did that. And you didn't see colleges do that until the mid to late 80s. And then the pros was even later than that, where the pros finally figured out, you know, we can put all these together because, again, the pro football was, you know, contrasting. I mean, hell, look at what they did with Michael Jordan's shoes. At one time, you could only wear the color schemes of your uniforms. I mean, you see how stupid that was? And so it's kind of the same thing, you know. Now it doesn't matter what shoes you wear. Burrow has a big fan base with the youth, and Cincy has a big fan base as well. They are marketable. Georgia wins. Matt Stafford from Georgia. That's a good one. Let me see. Burrows is marketable. Well, what he's got going for, still a young-looking guy. kind of movie-like looks. Yeah. But Cincinnati, again, Cincinnati, how marketable is Cincinnati? I think that's the thing you got to look at too. You got some good views. They win 27 and 27. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the likes. That is really, really cool of y'all. That is very nice of y'all. Cincinnati is a major Jesuit city. I know Zach says that all the time because we got Xavier there. We got Xavier in Cincinnati. I've been to Cincinnati, Dayton. I've been to Cincinnati, Dayton. I've been all through there. I've been through there. I partied in Dayton. I partied in Cincinnati before. It's only from Michigan, 4 hours? 4 hours? Yeah, it's only like 4 hours from where I lived in Michigan. So I've been down there. Ain't shit in Cleveland. Cincinnati's nicer than Cleveland. Way nicer than Cleveland. In Cleveland, you go up into Cleveland Heights where the black folks used to live at one time. But what do you got? Covington, Kentucky, not far. But yeah, I've been all through there. I just still, it's a smaller market team. And then what's funny is the history of Cincinnati is Paul Brown, who had been the owner. So Cleveland and the 49ers was in another football league. So during the early 50s, it was another football league like the AFL, and it had a lot of the West Coast teams. But it had Cleveland. I want to say the 49ers played in that league too, and Cleveland dominated for 10 years. Paul Brown was coach owner, and then he brought in all these partners, and before he knew it, his partners pushed him out, kind of like what Famous Amos was done to him. And so, they pushed Paul Brown out and fired him. And so Paul Brown, and I think it was only a couple $1,000s to buy into the AFL. And so Paul Brown came into the AFL late, because I want to say he didn't join the AFL until 66, 67 season. And look at what he did. Now check this out. Look at what Paul Brown did. Cincinnati and Cleveland had the same colors. Look at the old Cincinnati. The old Cincinnati uniforms in the 60s and the 70s looked just like Cleveland. So Paul Brown, sticking it to them, chose their colors. Why do you think they're called the Cleveland Browns? They try to show a little brownie? No. They are called the Cleveland Browns because of Paul Brown. They were his team. 4 hours. Yeah. It wasn't far because my cousin, as I said before, my cousin worked at the Greyhound at Dayton, and so we always shooting down to Dayton, Cincinnati, Dayton to go party. Yep. They win. They get 9-6 versus the Rams 67 days before the Queen's 96th birthday. Ooh, okay. We'll see if that plays a part. Because all this information, the more information that can be accumulated, the easier it is for people to break it down and say, hey, when I put my money here or there. I'm kind of mad at myself because I wanted to take that under. Because when I heard 54, I was like, that just sounded. And I just didn't bet. I kind of felt like I should have, and I didn't. But yeah, so I've been in that area. I really do love the Bengals jerseys and the different combinations they put together with it. But I still think the marketing and to keep it alive is going to be with the Rams. And I could be proven wrong, and again, because the Rams was a newer team, when they just might say, okay, the newer team that won it one time, now, you passing it to Cincinnati. That's possible, but pro sports tend to like the repeats. They just tend to like it. College is an easy one to see. Baylor had won it in the 50s, I think. No, Baylor had won it in the early 60s. Gonzaga never won it, and they tend not to like people that haven't won it. And so, you can almost follow it in sports. Did anybody watch any of the Olympic hockey? What's funny is Sweden's wearing the Knights Templars cross, the red cross, and they got hammered by the Canadians. The Canadians beat them. It was 8-0 in the second period. It was like second period going to third period. It was 8-0. Just killed them. And then China lost to I forget who they were playing, but it was 2-1. But China, most of China's players come from Canada. And there was one star in Canada that it was really upset that it didn't play with the Canadian team. It played with the Chinese team. So this is girls. This is women's hockey. I'm just waiting to see the sacrifice they do for the Super Bowl. There were no wins. There's always a college basketball game night before the Super Bowl. It always gives a clue. Oh, that's a good point. It is a mockery. It is. It is a mockery. That's like when we, I've been on them for grip gloves. When you see a drop, they're trying to show a point. When you look at drops, like when a pro player drops the ball, they try to disprove the grip glove. See, that's the NFL saying, see, we can't catch them all. That's a mocking in itself. When you see a player drop the ball, that's the NFL saying, see, he's wrong. The gloves don't work. They can't catch it every time. Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can. They can catch it every time. Benjamin sacrificed Cincinnati. Regina King's son, the 85-year-old Nick Cannon's son. Yeah. And Nick Cannon's son, a little 85-year-old. The DJ. Okay. The 85-year-old. Oh, okay. A radio DJ, Nick Cannon. Okay. I would say the Regina King's son is outside because it happened before Monday. You've got to count the murders from Monday. It doesn't. Well, I guess you could go Super Bowl night, or excuse me, the championship night. You could start from there because there's been killings since then. As I said before, last couple Super Bowls, they've killed after the Super Bowl, which was something new. They really hadn't done that before, but the last few years, they've killed people after. Remember that NBA couple? I've talked about that the last 4 or 5 times I've talked about that NBA couple they killed after the Super Bowl. And then there was another linebacker that got killed after the Super Bowl, but that night. I'm going to watch the upcoming Super Bowl so that I can get the hang of catching their ball manipulation in a very subtle and perceptive manner. Yeah, I mean, if you just really pay, this is what gets me, and this is what I try to point out. You have a natural reaction to catch the ball. Like the one I show where the dude catches the ball low. I mean, he really doesn't put like for me, if it was a low ball, I am like this. I am my head down because I looked at catching with your eyes. And so my eyes are going to catch it before my hand catches it. You see none of that. And that one he catches, it's just one arm out. It's like it is like he never tracks the ball with his eyes, not true catching position, trying to throw that other hand over there to cradle it more. I mean, you just don't see a lot of catching positions. These dudes is catching the ball just with their hands like out. And in that case where he caught it by his side, I mean, there was no real catching position. That's my point about some of these catches. There's not a natural catch. These guys just putting like their arm up and it's fitting in there. Let me see. Nick Cannon's baby mama with Johnny Manziel. Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that. Oh, she had a miscarriage just quick? Okay. The Chiefs game, you had the black girl, former miss, from the 60th floor. I don't know. That would probably be counted. If that was during the game, we might can count her. Yeah, Boomer's my age. The missed tackles are the worst. Well, I call that the movie tackles. Because if you watch football movies, they do the exact same thing. Watch an old football movie when the child goes through or when the player goes through and dudes dive. That's a popular football movie. Now we see it in the NFL where a dude will just reach out. Like I showed one of my videos where the dude, you can see where he slows down not to catch the dude. And as he slows down, he does the movie dive. That's the movie football dive. That black young lady jumped from the building onto 42nd Street. Yeah, supposedly. And like that's something I ain't really never dealt with. It's suicide. I've known people, but not where I was around. The last one I can think of is a little dude I knew. I saw him as a baby, and he took himself out. And this was a few years ago. He took himself out, but it's like, don't know what happened to that young man. He had a lot of people around him, loved him. Could have been a girl. gosh, should I even tell this story? I guess the closest one to home is one of my cousins, and my brother and I were talking about this. I'm not going to use any names, but he's talking to his girlfriend on the phone, and he told her, look, if you ain't going to be with me, I'm going to kill myself. I'm really, and she's like trying to talk him out of it. And he point blank shot himself like right here. Just, it's like, I got the gun. And he's telling her on the phone, I'm about to pull the trigger. You ain't going to be with me? And next thing she hears is boom. And he lost a lung. Yeah, that was a tough one. He lived, though. He lived. So he only has one lung, though. But he lived through it. But over a girl. The thought of not being with him was too great to bear, I guess. That, And I think, the sympathy thing, if I hurt myself, she'll be there. Well, that's an illusion too. So the news is 1,000 ran by the numbers. On the 30th or 31st, there was suicides in news. Yeah. They said that the suspect, she was under mind control and her handler killed her, also jumped off. That could be as well. Because, a lot of times it's the handler's job to take you out because you can still get near them. You know how you watch movies and it'd be like an old friend and like the old friend that like ain't seen them in years and it's like the old friend shows up and the old friend is the one that kills you. If you just stayed away from that old friend, well, that they're showing you something that comes in real life. You'll let like that person that ain't been around you and you maybe felt something dark for him, so you kept him away, and then all of a sudden you let him back in. That's the thing. Yeah. So, but yeah, my cousin was lucky to be alive. He really was. It was touch and go. It's funny. Like we had another cousin that passed, and I've said this story before. We were sitting there talking. We was in the room. He had just had like a stent put in him, and we were just sitting there talking. And next thing he knows, like he went, damn. And we like looked at him. He said, something just popped inside of me. And then he passed out. And the doctor like worked on him for 4 hours. And it was funny. Now, if you don't think doctors care, this doctor like cared. And he was like, I've been working on this man for 4 hours. The stent won't hold. Nothing I can do. And what was my cousin, 30, 31? That was hard. That was hard to see that, to go back to like 8 hours or maybe 6 hours talking to him, sitting there, recovering to, turn that quickly. But I'll say this about death, and that kind of death is it makes you see the illusion. It really does. It in most instances, in them kind of conditions, people don't pay attention to everything. People are so looked at the grief, but if you really pay attention to all the pixels as this grief is coming, you see such a change in reality. And you really, if you start focusing on everything, you see that it is such a what's coming and what comes, you see an artificialness to it. Because again, if you look at when you kill a bug, when you kill that bug, it's like 1 minute he's crawling your hand, you snuff him out. You look on the ground, it's 1,000 more of them. But if you pay attention to everything as death comes, you see it's the same thing. It's like, okay, this is not there, but all this is still there. And I'm not trying to be cold. I'm just saying that's the way it is. It's like, okay, all these people are around cleaning up and, preparing. There's a business of death, all that comes and you're like looking at this thing like, you guys were prepared for this. No, we've just done it so many times. No, you were prepared. But that's if you look at all that, You know, if you stand back away from the grief and you just follow that kind of thing, you see a fakeness to it. Because again, all of them have done this before. And they know, you know, okay, he dies, it's A, B, C, D, D, you know, it's all that. And it's almost like a play that they've done over and over again, just like birthing the babies. You know, it's a play. Except they shoot our babies up. Well, I ain't stood in a while. Now I do have to stand up. I just wanted to come back for the people that did like the spiritual stuff and sports. You know, I like to mix a little bit of all in it. Because life isn't just one thing. It is so many different things. And it's like, one thing I say is you ain't even got to just pay attention just pay attention. I mean, that's the biggest thing, that we get sucked into the mind because we don't pay attention. Like, look at deja vu, look at mistakes. I mean, you can catch this thing. You can catch this thing that you see the fakeness, that you see the phoniness of this reality. You can catch it. And realize that to an entity, that time doesn't mean anything. So it's easy for this planned 100 years before. It's easy for an entity to put a name out there, and the name comes up on a basketball, and the high school turns out. I mean, it's easy. This ain't hard stuff. If you understand how, when you take a snowball and you tap it down a mountain, and it comes to be an avalanche. I mean, it's nature moves. It can be moved like that. You watched where you see the magician or you see the witch, and how the witch can just make all this happen like they want it to happen. It's very similar to what you would see in a movie. I mean, it is very similar. That's the thing, is they tell on themselves. Like we have such braggarts. Like I was saying, you got all these non-humans want to be athletes, want to be movie stars, want to be entertainers. Why is that? Why do you have non-humans that want to be famous? They have all this technology from where they came from, but yet they want to be earth famous. Why is that? What makes that phenomena happen? That these non-humans, and they don't hide. These non-humans is out in this shit. It's like they out like you ain't never seen before. When I go on Twitter, I can't believe some stuff I see. Vanity is also on its highest. Everyone thinks they're a star, for lack of a better word. Well, this makes you, you can do these little videos. You can leave a cute Facebook picture, show your booty. That's funny. Like Facebook, that's the funniest shit in the world. Dudes be on Facebook showing they mug. That is the funniest shit. And the dudes be doing the duck lips. Like, what the fuck I want a picture of me for? I got an outfit on. Nigga, I know how I'm dressed. I don't need to show everybody. My mother told me because she's like a boot collector head. And she says, you're like that with coats. I'm like, no, I just don't like wearing the same coat every day. I have coats that I wear, 10 coats that I wear. I rotate. And I've got 4 or 5 I don't wear, maybe 10 I don't wear. I always give coats away. I do. I donate them and shit. But like, I like the shit be affordable. You talking about looking at a $200 coat, and the coat is $30. It's a steal. I love Macy's. I go to Marshall's and Macy's and I go to Zoomies too. I get some of that lurking class from Zoomies, but it's like, to buy a coat for $80 or a hoodie for $80 this time of year, the coat's gonna win. I'm not gonna be able to wear that hoodie unless I got a coat over it. So, I'm looking at Zoomies and I'm like, I can go buy another Tommy coat or a Calvin Klein coat or a Guess coat for $80. See, it's like everyone has a toxic mindset. To me, it's because of money. You ask any random person, I bet they say, I'm just chasing the bag. That's the problem. Everyone wants to chase the bag no matter what. And it's funny how that works. Like you've got the panhandlers. Like my ex went to a concert and she was like, as they was trying to go from the parking ramp into the Target Center, it was panhandlers in there begging for money, begging for change. I watched the guy, and I mean, it was frigid cold, and this dude is with a sign and shit. And it's funny how like he went in the middle of the cars in traffic, which is illegal. He's supposed to stand his ass on that corner, but he was trying to get that energy going because it's an energy thing. And he was trying to get, but it worked. Him going between the cars with his sign, because it's like a three-car lane that he's access to. He walked between it. Sure enough, one person gave him money, and the way energy moves, monkey see, monkey do. And it was like 3 cars gave him money. And it was like interesting how he stirred the pot up by moving through, which if a cop was there, he would have got arrested because, again, when they hold signs up, they're supposed to stay there right where in the middle part. I can't think of what that's called. Let me explain. I think we are some of the best times we've ever been in. I think we are in some of the best times we have been in. In some ways, yeah. In some ways we are. We see, because it's the information age, so many of us are into the information. And the true scholars, like I look at myself as a scholar, I get these books and I go to these big libraries that just open back up and find this stuff. Like I told the story before, there was a big research library here that an individual had owned and his family didn't give a fuck. And they let this big, pretty building go and sold all his books and shit. And it was like, I asked my boy, he's like, yeah, I remember that. He said when he was a child, they went to see this place. And this is the place where I could have did research. People are waking up and asking questions. Yeah. But I would say this, the hippies did the same thing. The hippies was the same way. And that started in the late 50s as beatniks going into the 60s, where the hippies, the real hippie movement was when them people was moving, like in New York, they was moving in the Catskills. You had out west and people was moving out of the cities and starting communes. And that's all that Manson shit was about, to kill that, to take the people from out of that, doing their own thing, raising their own children, making their own food. So you could say the 60s people was waking up. And you had the idea of war. You had the idea of civil unrest. If you look at the reason why the Panthers was created by the FBI was because, again, if there was ever a time for revolution, it was in the 60s, because these motherfuckers was spread thin. You had still 30,000 troops in Korea. You had another 50 to 100,000 troops in Germany still. And then, of course, Vietnam had 500,000. So the National Guard units was called up. You had police. Some. That's why the Kent State shit was fake. That's why you had Kent State to scare people. See, they're carrying bullets, and if you don't start rioting, you're going to get killed on your campus. That was one of the fakest stories ever. But that's what Kent State was about, to scare the college students and to stop rioting, because the college students was taking over. Some of these universities was literally taken over by the college students. Think about it. You got 20,000 college students. The administration ain't that big. And you had all across the country college students that took to colleges. So that's why you had Kent State. But you had America that didn't have any protection in America. That's why they created the Black Panthers, then killed the leaders. Okay, it's that late? Okay. So now, technology-wise, yeah, but, people was waking up then. What was the thing? Taking acid to expand your mind. They showed on purpose. Think about all the stuff, because even more obvious to everyday random Joe in 220. Perfect vision, third eye opening. Evil will not win. Third eye. That third eye is evil shit. Perfect vision, third eye opening. I wouldn't say. I would say what you look at, as they call the third eye, when they call the eye of Ra, the eye of Marduk, You know, it's Yabatha. It's still that Samuel, the Demerge. That's whose eye it is. But there's something you can work with, and there's something you can uncalcify. So whatever some people call it the first eye. So there's something that you can get that will put you out of practicing out of body before you die. And you can practice that. So you understand that feeling. Nothing is as evil or all good. Everything has perpetual balance. That's why, like, one woman was putting up how she wasn't a light worker, which is understandable because that's duality, which she was absolutely right. It's that duality. It's that Cain and Abel. It's not the hero twins. You know, the hero twins work together. Cain and Abel, you know, you killed one another. Jealousy. Hero twins say we work together. That's the South America. That's the American energy, is we work together. It's not the light versus dark. So one can't be without the other. This really means you have opened up spirituality. Of course. But see, even that is calcified. And even then you have to learn how to uncalcify that part of you. Because the water, the food, TV watching, screen watching, I mean, all this tries to stop you from being able to know your real self and how to go into your real self and how to bring your real self out, you know, wherever you take it. That's why I gave the simple exercises on just how you can simply leave your body by going through your roof. You know, I mean, it's very simple, you know, like where you can just be a little bit over your body. You know, you can actually, to start with, it's almost like, you know, you have another being that pops out of your shoulders and your head. And this light being can rotate as it stands like on your head. And then you can make that go high as you want it to go. I mean, you look at some of my old videos, I go through that exercise. But that's an exercise to kind of help understand how you can use some foresight as well. Because it helps you move away from this existence and helps you experience the other existence that is coexisting as we move. Yeah. Yeah. Well, astral projection. Yeah. Astral projection, ethers, or the czar. I mean, I bring up the czar because to me, I was telling my brother that earlier, I like that movement more than all the others because it is separate and it appears to be stronger than the ethers and the astro. It appears to be stronger. That's why I like the czar movement. And I like telling the whole story. It is a way to possess. It definitely is a way to possess because you see things you can possess. It's like you go down these hallways, it's things you can possess. It's set up like that, no doubt. But you don't have to use it like that every time. You don't have to use it like that. Like I told my brother, I was only able to possess a lion, you know, because it's not as easy. It's like, even though you're in the hallways, it's like you just have to have the most perfect timing. I mean, you really do. You have to have the most perfect timing to go into one of these beings. It is not like you just there and like they show on TV, you're a spook and you can just float in. It's like that shit takes practice. So recommended reading from my melanated brothers in chat book, Designing Unstoppable Black Man, a personal achievement guide for the everyday Black man by Wayman Brown. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Edward. Thank you, the Mac Bone Files. Thank you, Brother Mac. I like that. I could say, you know, only a Mac can glide and do the luge. Freak, you know, brothers don't want to be out there on them them snowboards and shit. Here's my snowboard story. A few years ago, my boys are 20 and 19 now. It was probably 10, 11 years ago. They had sleds for Christmas and they was a little younger. They was probably 8, 9. And this boy came and he had a snowboard and you could tell it was new. And he was going down. You could see he's kind of learning. He didn't have a helmet on. And that he slipped or some shit. And that board hit him in his head and cracked his head open. Now, luckily, we were across the street from the hospital, so he didn't have far to go. But that snowboard cracked his head open. That's why my boys had the plastic sleds. And we got one of the best snow hills down here in Prior Lake. It's amazing to see because it's like a big hill and then there's little hills for the little children. And you see the little children eventually want to be in the big hill. And I mean, you zoom. It's like the hill is so steep, it's like amusement ride. But like I've been going up there to play pickleball, and usually they play when it's cold. But I went up there the other day, Saturday. Nobody played. And it was warm. It was in the 30s. So I played in the last month. I played like once. But yeah, nobody came up there to play. So, well, my butt is getting sore. I need to stand up. Thank you. Like I can't say really when I'll do the Chocolate Mountain show again. More than likely, I'll do the Responsible Daddy Hour tomorrow between 2 and 3. So when did you first start noticing this weird, funny, like it didn't seem right? I had my first vision. I was 4 or 5 years old, and I saw my grandmother die, my great-grandmother. Completely saw what I experienced almost 10 years later. No, she died before then. But when I was 4 or 5 years old, I had a vision, and I dreamt when my grandmother died, my great-grandmother. And it was funny that night. I just ran and crying, sobbing. They called her, so it must have been fairly early when they put me to bed. They called her. I talked to her, and when she hung up, I said, "I don't care what you guys say. She did die. I saw her die. She died. I'm telling you, she died." So even though they comfort me, and then 10 years later, I see it almost play out the same way I saw it as a young person. Leaving my body at 18, 19 helped me because I was able to see that there was something else beyond. And luckily, my guides came to save me. And so having that happen so young, it's frustrating. When this happens at 80, the spiritual community wasn't that big back in 80. It was like I had experience. Who could I talk to about this? Like even my brother, I remember when I first mentioned that to him, he was still, an older teenager. And so even him, he hadn't hit his spiritualness yet. So it's like, who do I talk to? And it really, for years, it was no one until really when I got the gospel, the Gnostic Bible, and that was like 04, 05, that started explaining some of this. So, mystical occult powers, 9 mystical occult powers: telepathy, intuition, clairvoyance, psychometry, technianis, and teleportation. Yeah, you can find all them in there. Clairvoyance, psychic empowerment. And it, of course, did not save where I needed to be saved. But this book talks about all the different powers that people can have. I mean, I'll say this, the way to practice is if you have a mate, practice telepathy with your mate, practice telepathy with your children. I would say that's a great practice because it's like I said, I mess with people. I can get people to be scratching because I'll be behind people and I'm like scratch. I get people to turn around, and that's kind of abuse, but it's funny. It's funny. Bedtime for me. I'm going to have to go to bedtime too. So thank you. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. Again, I'm going by Pontiac now. So this is 8 Wind, Hero Twins, Time Lord. So I'm all that. So thank you everybody for coming. And until we meet again.